Hello, dear English learners, and welcome to Massey's World. As you might already know from the comments, I was born and raised in Iran and recently moved to Germany to continue my studies and broaden my horizons. So, English is not my first language, and I'm not a native English speaker. As a result, I already know all the problems you're facing, all the things that you're going through, all the struggles you're facing to perfect your English and pass tests such as IELTS with the highest band score you can. Recently, I took this test and got 8.5. Today, I'm going to explain to you in the simplest way possible how you can get 7 or 7.5 in the speaking part of this test. We could talk about each skill and each band score in so many sessions, in so many videos. That's why I'm focusing on just one score, 7.5, and one skill, speaking today. I will give you a lot of tips, so if you're interested, keep on watching. Now, when you have clicked on this video, I assume that you are already a bit familiar with the structure of this test, how many parts it has, how much time you're given, and stuff like that. So today I'm not going to talk about those. Today, I'm going to tell you how to get that 7. I think for any language test, you have to ask 2 questions before you start. What is your level already? And based on what criteria are you being assessed or evaluated? This could be your starting point, and with the right guidance, everything will fall into place in no time. As for your level, you can just take a replacement test, or your teacher can tell you what your level roughly is. A lot of my students ask me, Massey, how long will it take me to get this specific band score in IELTS? It depends on so many things. What is your level? How long, how often, and how much are you willing to study every day? And in my opinion, based on my experience, I also think that it matters if you are a language person or not. Do you like learning languages? I have seen so many people who are geniuses, who are super smart at what they do. But when it comes to languages, they're kind of like not that into it, or they don't have a knack for it, or they need more time. And of course, it's okay because you could be very good at something and not so good at something else. For example, when it comes to math, I'm absolutely clueless. No, I don't know what's going on. But when it comes to languages, it comes more naturally to me. I think I'm good at it. It's easier for me. So everyone is different, and that's absolutely totally fine. As I have said this in another video of mine, I believe that your mindset and your attitude towards something is the number one key in succeeding and making the journey more enjoyable for you. When I wanted to take this test, I was naturally super stressed out. But then it hit me. I can either think there's this judge, there's this examiner sitting there assessing my English and I have to be perfect. Or think of it as, here I have been given an opportunity to showcase my English skills. I have been studying English for some time now, a lot, maybe very hard. And now I have a good chance to show people how good I can speak English and how good I am at it. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be at my own best level. And the examiner there, sitting there, is actually a very nice person trained to help you reach that level by asking more questions and diving a little bit deeper, especially in the third part. So, when you're taking this exam, remember Massey telling you that you're in a safe environment to show how beautifully and eloquently you can speak English. When I decided to take this test, I had been learning English for years, and it took me 1 month to prepare and to get used to the style of this test, and then I got 8.5 in speaking. If your general knowledge of English is still not that high and your level is, let's say, B1, and you expect to get 7 in just 1 month, I don't think that's possible. You need a lot more knowledge and a lot more time. I know there are so many advertisements out there telling you that if you learn this specific grammar or this number of vocabulary, then you will be able to get your IELTS, band score 7, 8, whatever, in just 1 month or in 30 days. If your general knowledge of English is high, if your general English is already good, then yes, definitely learning some grammatical structures or some vocabulary or collocations or whatever will definitely help you a lot. But if your general English is not good enough for the level that you're aiming for, that you want to achieve, I really don't think that learning a specific lesson or a few lessons would get you there. And keep in mind that you're here to learn, to actually learn something and be able to speak in English fluently, not fool yourself or anyone. And I gotta tell you, these examiners are certified, trained, smart academic people. And a bunch of words and some grammar are not gonna trick them into thinking that your level is higher than what it actually is. So just don't. Improving your general English is actually the fun part. You watch, you listen, you practice, you learn. It just takes time. You can watch Massey's lessons, or participate in an English course, or do whatever that is right up your alley. Just have fun with it. Regarding the second question, based on what criteria are they going to assess my English, my knowledge? Well, when you ask this question, you hear so many answers like you need to speak coherently. Okay, but what does that mean? We have heard words like this so many times, but I think a lot of people have difficulty understanding and grasping their meaning, let alone applying them to their speaking. So I'm not going to just repeat them one more time. I'm going to use simple words that could be more tangible and more understandable for you. Let's start with the easiest one, grammar. You need to know the amount of grammar that is needed for the band score you're aiming for, and you need to know a variety of grammatical structures, not just one and repeating it so many times. And you need to be able to use those grammatical structures at the right time where it's correct and meaningful. Number 2, words. You need to know a lot of words and phrases and everything, but again, you need to know when to use them, where they are meaningful and make sense. The usage of words and grammatical structures are always so important. That's why I bring a lot of examples in my videos to make sure that you understand when to use them. Number 3, pronunciation. Remember, pronunciation is different than accent. You can have any accent you want as long as you're understandable for the examiner or for people. But pronunciation is the way that you're supposed to pronounce a word in standard English. And the way to learn that is actually quite easy. You can either repeat after a teacher or just check the pronunciation yourself. In the video I made about listening, I explained that if you look up a word in an online dictionary, there's a speaker icon up there that you can click on and listen to the pronunciation. There are 2 options to choose from, one American and one British. But remember to stick to one of them. You don't want to sound half American and half British. It messes up your accent and pronunciation in the long run. There needs to be a smooth flow to what you're saying. You can take your time and organize your thoughts maybe once or twice, but not a lot. And you cannot run out of English words. You cannot make a lot of pauses or say ums because you cannot remember the English words. You can connect your ideas smoothly to each other, and you're able to make the listener, in this case, the examiner, understand what you're saying. You're clear. The examiner is going to interrupt you sometimes and ask you further questions, which is absolutely normal, and this is what they're supposed to do. So don't panic. And actually, the examiner asking you questions is great because for you, it needs to feel like a two-sided conversation. I have heard this from many people who have scored high in the speaking part, that they felt like they were having a conversation, a friendly chat instead of an exam. I also tried to do that and it worked for me. So pretend you're having a friendly chat with a friend and be your fabulous self. But surely go there prepared and respect the examiner. Don't be too friendly. For each band score, you need to fulfill some expectations. But for band 7 or 7.5, you don't need to be perfect or flawless. You can still make mistakes. You just need to have a certain level. 7 in IELTS means that you have passed B2 completely. You're absolutely an independent user of English, and congratulations, you have entered the C1 realm. You're at the beginning of C1 though. You're not at the top end of C1. You are on your way to become a proficient user. Band score 7 means that you are fluent in English. You don't make a lot of pauses when you're talking. And when people are talking about complex matters, you can actually add meaningful, correct sentences. It's still okay to make small mistakes with pronunciation, grammar, etc., but they're small. They don't cause the listener to be confused or not very sure about what you're saying. When your general English is good and you know what is expected of you, you have actually done a lot of the work already. You just need to familiarize yourself with the questions and detect your weaknesses and work on them. Let me give you a personal example. When I wanted to take IELTS, I decided to take a mock test first. A mock test is like IELTS, but it's not real. It feels like it, but it's not real. And it gives you an idea of what your level is. So I decided to take that without any preparation. So the first part, where they ask you an everyday question, went very well. And I was like, this is so easy. What is all the fuss about? This feels like a piece of cake. But then, let me tell you, the second part, the examiner gave me the most difficult question. Actually, the actual test that I took was a lot easier than that. I don't remember the question exactly, but I remember it was something about history, and I was not prepared for that at all. So at some point, I was just rambling on about I don't even know what. So I think the examiner gave me 7.5, which I was not happy with. And I realized that my weakness was that I was not familiar with a lot of the topics, even in my own native language, which is Persian. So I started gathering information and reading a lot about history, climate change, global warming, and so many other topics. And I think it was a golden opportunity, a blessing in disguise. And for me, that's what made it fun. So my number one tip would be to go through the topics and just have an idea of what you're supposed to talk about, part 1 and part 2. Maybe in the future, I will make a lot of videos about the different topics and we can work on them together. Tip number 2, always aim for one score or half a score higher than what you actually won. This is more like a life lesson for me. I have never heard any other teacher saying this about English or about IELTS in particular, but I think in all aspects of life, it's like that. Let's say you want 7, aim for 7.5 or 8. If you want this, aim for this. Because in this way, you will get at least what you have wanted. This is one rule that I try to follow in most areas of my life. What about you? Do you agree with it? Type it in the comments for me. Tip number 3, collocations. I am obsessed with collocations. I just feel like they turn you into a native speaker. I will definitely talk about them a lot in my future videos. Collocations are basically words that you'll hear a lot together. So they're like best friends. They're always holding hands. Just memorize them. A simple example would be heavy rain. We hear that a lot. They go together. They're friends. Heavy rain. But we don't hear strong rain. Maybe literally it could make sense, if you say it, people understand you, but they don't collocate together. They don't go with each other. They're not friends. A more advanced example would be to burst into tears. It means to suddenly start crying a lot. If you say to explode into tears, they don't collocate with each other. And if you say that, the listener might understand what you're saying, but they will know that you're not a native speaker. So, the more collocations you know, the more natural and native you sound. And what could be better than sounding natural and fluent and native in IELTS? So, take it from Massey, collocations forever. Tip number 4, always practice with someone whose level of English is higher than yours. Because take it from me, It's always very difficult to unlearn something that you thought was correct for a long time and you have been using it boldly and confidently everywhere. And then one day you realize, oopsie, that friend of yours unintentionally made a mistake and you copied them for so long. And now you have to unlearn and relearn, which takes a lot of time and effort. Sometimes you don't even realize your mistake till many years later. And when you do, it shatters your world and you have to check everything one more time and you doubt your knowledge of that language. Not based on a real life story. Wink, wink. I have so much more to tell you about IELTS, speaking, and everything, but I think that'll do for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay awesome and see you soon. Bye-bye!